Hey all, today we are going to discuss about HTML, that is Hypertext Markup Language. So let us start the HTML tutorial. HTML uses a markup system composed of elements which represent specific content. Markup means that with HTML you declare what is presented to a viewer, not how it is presented. Visual representations are defined by CSS and realized by browser. Still existing elements that allow for such, like example font, are entirely obsolete and must not be used by authors. HTML is sometimes called a programming language, but it has no logic, so is a markup language. HTML tags provide semantic meaning and machine readability to the content in the page. An element usually consists of an opening tag and a closing tag, which contains the element's name surrounded by angle brackets and the content in between. Element name. There are some HTML elements that don't have a closing tags or any contents. These are called void elements. Void elements include image, meta, link, and input. Names can be thought of as descriptive keywords for the content they contain, such as video, audio, table, and footer. A HTML page may consist of potential hundreds of elements which are then read by a web browser, interpreted and rendered into human readable and audible content on the screen. For this document, it is important to note the difference between the elements and the tag. As you can see on the screen, there's the element video, audio, table, and footer, and also there's a tags video, audio, table, footer, HTML, and body. So I hope by these two examples you can understand that what is the difference between element and tags. So see further. There's an element inside. So the p tag represent a common paragraph. Elements commonly have an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag contains the element's name in angle bracket, and the closing tag is identical to the opening tag with the addition of a forward slash between the opening bracket and the element's name. Content can go between these two tags. As you can see, there is a p, and I write it down that this is a simple paragraph. So this is a simple. Now it's time to learn how to build our first website with the help of HTML. So first off, we must ensure that we have the right tools or not. So most important, we need an HTML editor. So there are many choices on the market, hence are a handful of the most popular. The first is Sublime Text 3. However, for this video, you can use the Sublime 3. It's a free and also, of course, cross-platform support for Windows, Mac, and Linux user. Sublime 3 has mini preview window also, and there is some pros and cons for this. So pros are easily customizable, beginner friendly, pleasant color scheme to choose from, and there are some disadvantages that can't print document or code, no toolbar or dashboard available in this. And the other is Notepad++. I also use this for the HTML purpose. And so another choice of HTML and other language coder is Node++. It is tiny program to download and perform the function you need for writing clean code. The Node++, there is some advantage and disadvantage. Advantage is restriction-free interface. There is also advantage is auto completion feature and plugin option for extend functionality. And the disadvantages can be difficult to get used to for beginners and no support for Mac system. And the other editor is Komodo Edit. Komodo Edit is one of two editors released by the same label. They offer a simple open source editor with a variety of extensions and language support. It is free to download, and there are some advantage of this is easy to grasp coding interface available for Mac, Windows, and Linux all, and impressive language support. And the disadvantage is no auto completion by default. Visual settings are difficult to find and change. And what to avoid, do not use any Microsoft Word or any other word processor when writing the HTML code. Only an HTML editor, or at the very least your machine's built-in notepad, is suitable for the task. And the last one is so your code front-end view varies from browser to browser. You will learn more about this with the advanced CSS. I also make other tutorial on the CSS. So be in touch, and please subscribe my channel and look further. You can see on the screen there is a HTML code that for the Hello World program. So the HTML files can be created using any text editor. You can use anyone. The files must be saved with the .html file. This should be always be remember extension in order to be recognized as HTML file. So once you created, this file can be opened in any browser. So open any text editor, type just this code, and there is some tags I used. First is doc type, so it defines the HTML version used in the document. In this case, it is HTML5. Other is HTML, so it opens the page. No markup should come after the closing tag HTML. The lang attribute declares the primary language of the page using the ISO language codes. And after that is a head tag, opens the head section which does not appear in the main browser window but mainly contains information about the HTML document called metadata. It also contains imports from external style sheet and scripts. The closing tag is also head tag, gives the browser some metadata about the document. The char set attribute declares the character. And the title is used. So the title of the page, what the title we choose for the page, we write it here, and the text written between these opening and closing tag will be displayed on the tab of the page or in the title bar of the browser. And the last is a body tag. So body tag is used for open the parts of document displayed to user. That is all the visible or audible content of a page. No content should be added after the closing tag. And H1 is used for a level 1 heading for the page. It's the biggest size for the heading, and P is represent the common paragraph of the text. As I told in the starting, there's a doc type. So doc type is a short form of document type and help browser to understand the version of HTML, the document written, and for better interpretability. So what the doc types are, we are right here. So the browser will detect it as HTML5. And there is a headings. I use the H1 tag. There are 6 more tags: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. According to that, you can select the size of the heading. And the paragraph, for this we use a P, and for the if you want to insert a line breaks, we use BR, and if you defines the pre-format text, we use a pre. And HTML paragraph P. So the next topic is anchors and hyperlinks. The first is href. It specifies a destination URL. It can be an absolute or relative URL or the name of an anchor. An absolute URL is a complete URL of a website. Like whatever website you have, you can connect it with it. And the href lang is used for specifies the language of the resource link by href attribute, which must be present with this one. Use language from values from HTML5 and HTML4. And the other one is rel. So it specifies the relationship between the current document and the linked document. The other one is target. It specifies where to open the link. Example, the new tab or new window. Possible values are blank, self, parent, top, and frame name. And the title specifies extra information about a link. The information is most often shown as a tooltip text when the cursor moves over the link. The attribute is not restricted to links, it can be used on almost all HTML tags. Downloads are used for specifies that the target will be downloaded when a user click on the hyperlink. The value of the attribute will be the name of the downloaded file. There are no restrictions on allowed values, and the browser will automatically detect the current file extension and add it to the file like .img, .pdf, etc. And the links to the another tag, another site, we use the anchor tag as shown in the screen. There is a code ahref is a http example.com, and the text which I linked it to, it is a link to the example.com. So it shows like the downwards I write it as a link to the example.com. The other is a link to an anchor. Anchors can be used to jump to specific tags on an HTML page. Link to a page on the same site, so you can use relative path to link to page on the same website, and the link that dials a number and open link in the new tab or window, you all can do with the anchor tag. And link that runs JavaScript, so simply use a JavaScript protocol to run the text as JavaScript instead of opening in as a normal link. So you can see on the screen there is a code. By this you can link the JavaScript code. And link that runs email client. So if the value of the href attributes begins with the mail to, it will try to open an email client on click. So look further for the lists. HTML offers three ways for specifying list: ordered list, unordered list, and description list. Ordered list use sequence to indicate the order of list element. Unordered list use a defined symbol such as bullet to list element is not designated order. And description list use indexant to list elements with their children. This topic explains the implementation and combination of these lists in HTML markup language. The first is ordered list. You can see the example on the screen. So an ordered list can be created with the OL tag. The first is OL tag, and each list item can be created with the li tag as in the example. And this will produce a numbered list, which is a default style in HTML. And manually changing the numbers. So there are a couple of ways you can play with which numbers appear on the list items in an ordered list. The first way is to set a starting number using the start attribute, and the list will start at this defined number and continues incrementing by 1 as usual. The other is unordered list. An unordered list can be created with UL tag, and each list item can be created with the li tag as shown by the example. And this will produce a bullet list, and third is a nested list. You can nest list to represent sub items of the list item. The nested list has to be a child of li element. As you see that the first tag is ul, then li, and there is a sub child of li is also present. So you can nest different types of lists too in this code. And the fourth is a description list. The description list or definition list, as it was called before HTML5, can be created with the DL element. It consists of name value groups where the name is given in the DT element and the value is given in the DD element, as you can see on the example. So these are the list. So let's see further. So the topic is tables. The HTML table element allow web author to display tabular data such as image, text, link, and other tables, etc. in the two-dimensional table with row and columns in cell. The first is simple table. You can see code on the screen. So this will render a table consisting of 3 total rows, tr, and 1 row of header cell is a th tag, and 2 rows of content cell is a td. TH elements are tabular header and TD elements are tabular data. You can put whenever you want inside a TD or TH. So it's the second is spanning columns or rows. Table cells can span multiple columns or rows using a col span and row span attribute. This attribute can be applied to TH or TD elements. Row span, a non-negative integer that specifies a number of rows spanned by a cell. The default value of this attribute is 1, and a value of 0 means that the cell will extend from the current row until the last row of the table. And the call span is means a non-negative integer that specifies a number of columns spanned by a current cell. The default value of an attribute is 1 and a value of 0 means that the cell will extend from the current to the last column of the column group in which the cell is defined. The third is column group. So sometimes you want to apply styling to a column or group of columns, or for semantic purposes you may want to group columns together. To do this, use call group or call tag elements. The optional call group tag allows you to group columns together. Call group element must be child element to a table and must come after caption element and before any table content. Example tr, thead or tbody, etc. The CSS style can be applied in the call group like border, background, width, visibility. I will also make video on CSS. So don't forget to subscribe. And the fourth is table with thread, tbody, tfoot and caption. So in thead, tbody, tfoot and caption, HTML also provides the table with this element. These additional elements are useful for adding semantic value to your table and for providing a place for separate CSS styling. When printing out a table that doesn't fit in onto one paper or page, must browser repeat the content of thread on every page. There is a specific order that must be adhered to, and we should be aware that not every element fall into place as one would expect. And the fifth is heading scope. TH elements are very commonly used to indicate heading for table, row and columns. This can be improved for accessibility by the use of the scope attribute. Scope is known as an enumerated attribute. You can point to be note here is scope is known as an enumerated attribute, meaning that it can have a value from a specific set of possible values. The set includes call, row, call group and row group. Now let's see further. So using HTML with CSS. CSS provides styles to HTML elements on the page. Inline styling involves usage of the style attribute in text and is highly discouraged. Internal style sheets use the style tag and are used to declare rules for directed portion of the page. External style sheets may be used through a link tag which takes an external file of CSS and applies the rules of the document. So this topic covers all the three methods. First is the external style sheet. Use the link attribute in the document head. As you can see the code. You can also use style sheet provided from a website via the Content Delivery Network or CDN for short. Second is internal style sheet. You can also include CSS elements internally by using the style tag, as the code is on the screen, and multiple internal style sheets can be included in the program as well. Third is the inline style. You can style a specific element by using a style attribute like span style color is red. You can see on the screen, but note here is try to avoid this. The point of CSS is separate content from presentation. So it's good if you avoid this style. Fourth is multiple style sheet. So it's possible to load multiple style sheet in your project. Not that later files and declaration will override earlier ones. So if general.css contains. So next is images in HTML. So how can we add the image in the HTML page? So there are some parameters for this. The first is source. For the source, we use it specifies the URL of the image, and the second is source set. We use it for images to use in different situation. Example: high resolution display, small monitors, etc. And the third is sizes. The image size between the breakpoint. Fourth one we use for the how the element handle cross original request. And the next one is use map. We use it for the name of image map to use. Ismap is used for whether the image is a server-side image map. Alt is an alternative text that should be displayed if for some reason the image could not be displayed. And the width, height is optional. So first is the creating an image. So to add an image to a page, use the image tag always. Image tag do not have closing tags. The two main attributes you give to the image tags are source, the image source, and alt, with which is alternative text describing the image. You can see on the screen there is a code. You can also get image from the URL. The second line you can see on the code, and the other option is also is a choosing alt text. The alt text is used by screen readers for visually impaired users and by search engines. It's therefore important to write good alt text for your image. The text should look correct even if you replace the image with its alt attribute. For example, you can see on the screen. The third is a responsive image using the source set attribute. So using the source set with sizes, there is an image. Though there is size are like media queries describing how much space the image takes of the viewpoint. So if viewpoint is larger than 1200 pixel, image is exactly 580 pixel. For example, our content is centered in container which is max 1200 pixel wide. Image takes half of its minus margins. If viewport is between 640 pixel to 1200 pixel, image takes 48% of viewport. For example, image scale with our page and take half of viewport width minus margin. If viewport is any other size, in our case less than 640 pixel, image takes 98% of viewport. For example, image scale with our page and takes full width of viewport minus margin. Media condition must be omitted for last item. Responsive image using picture element. So uses to display different image under different screen width. You must include all images using the source tag in a picture tag as shown in the example. So now look further. Next is an image map. So the description is an image map is an image which clickable areas that usually act as hyperlinks. The image is defined by a image tag and the map is defined by a map tag with area tag to denote each clickable area. Use the use map and name attribute to bind the image and the map. Basic example you can see on the screen. There's a three shapes: triangle, square and circle. So to create an image map so that each of the shape in the image are clickable, the code is on the screen. Here the image represent the image map specify the attribute to use image. Regular image attributes apply, and use map is used for the name of a map with a hash symbol prepended to it. For example, for a map with a name map, the image should be have use map equals to map, and the name of the map to identify it to be used with the image's use map attribute. And there is a area tag, alt tag. Alt is the alternate text to display if image are not supported in any case. And the code is a coordinate outlining the selectable area when shape of polygon or any shape. This should be a set a list of XYZ pairs separated by the commas. Href, the URL of the hyperlink, if specified. If it is omitted, then the area will be represent a hyperlink. And the shape of the area can be set to default to set the entire image, no coords attribute necessary. Circle or the circle of, for the circle, rectangle for rec of for the rectangle, and polygon for poly for a polygon area specified by the corner points. So now the topic is HTML5 cache. Basic example of HTML5 cache. This is our index.html file you can see on the screen. Then we will create index.app cache file with the below codes. It's a cache manifest index.html. Write those files that you want to be cached. Load index.html. Then go for offline mode and reload the tab. Note, the point to be noted here is the two files must be in the same folder in this example. After that, the HTML event attributes. So there are many events in HTML. Events triggered by action inside the HTML form applies to almost all HTML elements but is most used in form elements. Some attributes are given on the screen like on blur, on change, on focus, on input. On blur is used for fire the moment that the element loses focus. On change is fires the moment when the value of the element is changed. On context menu, script to be run when a context menu is triggered. On focus fires the moment when the element gets focus. On input, script to be run when an element gets user input. On invalid, script to be run when when an element is invalid. On reset is used for fires when the reset button in the form is clicked. On search is used for fires when the user writes something in the search field. Search field for input equals to search. The on select attribute is used for fires after some text has been selected in an element. On submit when the form is submitted. And there is a keyboard events are also so on key down, on key press, on key up. So these all are the events in attribute. These all are the events in HTML. If you like this video, then please subscribe and share with your friends and stay tuned. I hope I covered all the points. If I missed any point, then comment below and share more and subscribe if you're not.